Hey guys, what up, Viper here, and today, because we've seen so many people flood into Illuvium with the airdrop announcement, with private beta 4 now being playable, the non-private beta on test and not too far away, and then open beta still a Q2 timeline, right? That's so soon. Therefore, I want to give everybody just like a beginner-ish guide and intro to all the 4, arguably 5 games Illuvium is building at the moment, so you guys know what's up, and you guys can have as much fun as possible on testnet and further on mainnet as well. Alright, let's start this like simple by starting here. So for Illuvium games, right, we have Illuvium Zero, we have Illuvium Overworld, we have Illuvium Arena, and we have Illuvium Beyond. Now, why did I say 4/5? Because Illuvium Arena has essentially the Ascendant Arena, and we have recently been revealed to that there's also gonna be the Gauntlet game mode, which is not gonna be at the beginning of open beta, as far as I recall from what we are told. So we get into these a little later. Alright, let's start with Illuvium Zero. On like a gaming side, right, Illuvium Zero is a town builder game, and you generate many resources to build up your own town and process into the game and with your builders and so on. It's like the whole just like normal town builder game thing, but you also generate fuel, which you use for your own game there. But fuel is the in-game currency for Illuvium Overworld. Okay, so fuel is the in-game currency for Illuvium Overworld, and you generate blueprints, which are the way to get cosmetics in the Illuvium Overworld, right? It's essentially a recipe. I typed this right? I actually did, damn. It's a recipe for cosmetics in other games, which mainly includes Overworld and the Arena and so on. So this is, on a gameplay side, the main thing for Illuvium Zero. You play a town builder game, you build up your town, you harvest essentially elements and fuel, are they called, and the elements are only used for Illuvium Zero things, and the fuel is used as an in-game currency for Illuvium Overworld for like most actions that you want to do there. And then you also generate blueprints. Blueprints are NFTs, and the cosmetics that you create with them are also NFTs. And it's just going to be something like, I don't know, use this amount of items from the overworld, and bam, you can create the cosmetic if you own the blueprint NFT for that. Now, there's like more economic stuff of like a balancer pool and so on between like how does the fuel in-game currency go to the overworld and so on. I want to keep this like a short beginner level, explain the games and the connection between them. If you want to know more in-depth stuff on this as well, if there just is enough demand for that, let me know in the comments and we can dive far deeper into the whole economic connections between the games. Today I want to focus mainly on a bit of the gameplay side essentially, and just explaining so you have an idea on what everything is, right? Now, Illuvium Overworld is essentially like open world-ish, I guess. I don't really know what everybody considers open world, because like the world has some limitations at some point, right? So, okay, outside of that, open world-ish, you have different zones to go and farm resources / Illuvials in. And those range from free to play to you need fuel to travel to those zones. So that is essentially the main thing here, right? Now, traveling to the zones and fighting and so on, there's a lot on the gameplay side there, and this is the main point. So let's start unpacking a lot of this. Basically, Illuvials have levels and tiers and stages. Now, tier is essentially a variety of that Illuvial. So some Illuvials are, I don't know, tier 0. Those are like the Illuvials you will find in the free-to-play zone. They're like the most common ones and the easiest to catch. And then the higher the tier goes, the less often you will see them in the overworld, the less often you will encounter them, and the harder it becomes to actually catching them. So low tier equals frequent to find and easy to catch. High tier equals rare to find and difficult to catch. Now, catching Illuvials, you need something that is called a shard. And a shard is similar to like a Pokeball kind of thing. You throw it at the Illuvial and, I don't know, maybe you catch it, maybe you don't catch it. There's different tiers to those shards as well. And yeah, the higher tier of the shard gives you a higher chance of capturing something. That is pretty self-explanatory, right? So you need shards to capture Illuvials, and shards have tiers as well. Everything in the Illuvium ecosystem kind of follows this concept of tiers, are like the rarity, the power level kind of base thing, and then stages is if those things have like a different like evolution or stronger version within that tier. So for example, weapons and Illuvials and armor suits, they all have also stages where they just have, they stay in that tier, but they become like a better version of the previously one, basically. Now, how do you obtain shards? You obtain shards from ore, and you mine that by shooting / collecting in overworld runs. Then the shards, okay, this is like a little bit on the in-game currency side, right? Essentially, the three in-game currencies are Krypton, Hyperion, and Solon. And they all have different things that you do with them. Krypton is basically, you need this to travel to stage 1, 2, and 3. Just in the overworld travels, right? And stage 0 is free. Can just matter that here, right? Hyperion, you need this to cure shards. What does curing shards mean? Essentially, if you mine shards, they are fragments, and only by spending Hyperion, you become shards that you can use to capture Illuvials with. And Solon is needed for just crafting drone upgrades and crafting armor and weapons and things like that. Now, there's also relevant to mention there are plants as well here, and plants give you consumables and items needed for crafting. Now, why consumables? What do they do? What are they needed for? Pretty much consumables give you combat buffs. Give you buffs for combat. And no, that's what they do. Like there's like some utility thing with like more experience gained and so on, but I just leave it as they give you combat buffs, and combat buffs matter because when wanting to catch Illuvials, you need to fight like an auto battler-ish kind of fight, and the less mastery points, which is just like what you need to spend when you play Illuvials and you play equipments and so on, they cost mastery points. The less you spend, the more chances you have at capturing the enemy Illuvials, because there's an energy bar at the top of the game, and that goes down whenever you play something, essentially, and whenever you try to catch something, it goes down as well. And when you try to catch something and that Illuvial costs like 50 mastery points, then it's going to go down by 50. If it's negative, the encounter is going to end, so you can't catch anymore. Therefore, you want to be as efficient as possible, and consumables with combat buffs help you there. Now, there's a lot more on like Overworld and Overworld gameplay and so on, but I think we've essentially covered the main idea that in Illuvium Zero, you create the in-game currency. So it's the supply side for in-game currency. Illuvium Overworld is the demand side for in-game currency. And you use that in-game currency in various different ways. Just like creating items at the forge after you've farmed them in the Overworld, catching Illuvials and so on. Overworld supplies you with the NFTs of the game, with the items, with the assets of the game. And then in Illuvium Arena, you can use those NFTs, you can use those assets. Now, let's talk about Ascendant Arena. I think I don't want to go into too much of the gameplay side of Ascendant Arena, but Ascendant Arena is a 1v1 PvP. You have a team builder, aka you need to own the assets to play. Now, there's a free-to-play rotation that you can freely use to adapt your teams and so on. And there are free starter decks as well, or starter teams. And there's also something that is called a survival game mode, which is pretty much PvE. And you can also just play that essentially just for free. So this is like the free entry demo kind of stuff to the game, but Ascendant Arena at its core is a 1v1 PvP, and you build your teams out of Illuvials, out of ranger weapons and suits, and you need to own those to play. Now, in the Illuvium Overworld, the stats that Illuvials have are different. Basically, Illuvials in the Overworld, they have levels, and they have varying stats. So an Illuvia can just be unlucky, just a low roll Illuvial that you found. It has like a really low roll on Omega power, for example, or on attack damage. And another one can have a maxed out roll that is just gonna have higher stats. It's gonna be stronger. In the Ascendant Arena, the stats are normalized. So you only need like any copy of any Illuvial and you can play it. You don't need to have the maxed out stat version of that Illuvial, basically. That is the really, really relevant part here, because Ascendant Arena has also the Leviathan Arena. Or I guess it is two different things, Ascendant and Leviathan. I should not say that Ascendant has this. And in Leviathan Arena, same as Ascendant Arena, 1v1, team builder, etc. But stats aren't normalized. So in Leviathan Arena, you can use all your super rare, super maxed out stats, super leveled out Illuvials from the Overworld, and those NFTs have like the use case here, right? So Ascendant Arena is essentially the accessible 1v1 PvP game mode in the game, in which you just need like any Illuvial, stats are normalized, and you can just play the ranked ladder and so on. And then in Leviathan Arena, stats aren't normalized anymore, therefore having those super rare maxed out Illuvials that you can farm and grind for in the Overworld matters a whole lot here. Then Gauntlet is recently been revealed to us. And yeah, we don't, I guess we know like a lot about it, but it's like basically a TFT similar game, 8-player battle royale. And it is entirely free to play, because it's really hard to make asset ownership if this TFT game style really happen. Basically, if you guys don't know TFT or auto chess, auto battle or genre in general, you can essentially assume you have a deck of cards, and the deck of cards is in the middle of the table, and everybody's drawing from the deck of cards and sending things back to the deck of cards if they like sell a unit again, right? So you draw these cards, maybe you play some of them, and the ones that you don't play, they get sent back. Everybody's drawing from that. It is a shared pool, and that's how it works. Now, how do you do that with asset ownership? It's pretty difficult to make, but it's really cool game mode to have, and people really like those games and genres. So I think that's why a Gauntlet idea is like, okay, it's just entirely free to play. And if you own the NFTs, if you own NFTs, or for example, there's a Jotun and you play a Jotun, you own a Jotun NFT, then cosmetic effects. From what we're told so far. And there's also gonna be a Leviathan Gauntlet version, in which if you own Illuvials, yours are strong. Pretty much like that, just like the pay to win, you own the assets, and then everything is like stronger game mode version of Gauntlet. I really wonder which one is gonna be just like the more popular or interesting one. Because I could see that people just play like, yeah, I just want to play Leviathan thing and just have my maxed out Illuvials because I own them anyways. Like I play Overworld, I play just the Ascendant Arena, therefore I own Illuvials, so I might as well just play Leviathan Gauntlet. And yeah, I don't know. I think the Gauntlet interesting. On like the economy side, again, we can dive deeper into monetization and use cases and so on. But TLDR, right, Illuvium Arena is the demand side for the NFTs. that you obtain in the Overworld, and Overworld is the demand side for the in-game currency that you obtain in Illuvium Zero. That is how those three games are connected. I guess like arguably four, because Gauntlet and the like 1v1 and 8v8, bit of a different game setting, right? And then we have Illuvium Beyond as last. Illuvium Beyond is a collectible game, and it exists like outside of the lore universe pretty much. So the other games are all obviously connected with some like lore. We don't know that much about the lore yet. That's like the one thing that Illuvium isn't transparent about. They do want to just keep that to themselves until open beta release, and then we can slowly figure out what's going on and how everything is connected and works and so on. Cool. So Illuvium Beyond exists outside of the lore universe of the other games. So this is something like, in a sense, you remember when Hearthstone came out, and Hearthstone was like Hearthstone Heroes of Warcraft, and they were keeping to the World of Warcraft lore, and then later on they were like, okay, let's just not do the lore part anymore, so we can do whatever crazy things we want to do, and kind of just take the character and give them like a party hat and whatever. That's what Illuvium Beyond is in a sense, because Illuvium Beyond is giving you the profile pictures that you use in the game. That's like the main utility there is at the moment for those Illuvium Beyond collectible NFTs, and those are pretty much just a picture of an Illuvial. Every Illuvial picture has 3 different expressions. They like, the one is like, it's like common, uncommon, and rare, I think are they called. Like obviously rare is like the most scarce one. You get them out of loot boxes, booster packs, gacha system, whatever word you want to use. But yeah, you buy discs, and the disc has Illuvitas and accessories in them. Those Illuvitas, like I said, different expressions, and they also have different backgrounds. So there's a bunch of different combinations how they can look. And then you have accessories, and accessories, there's also a bunch of different accessories. There are tiers and stages to them. Some are super, super rare. Some are just like super, super common. And you can use those accessories, put them on the Illuvita, and then that Illuvita can be your profile picture. And then, well, let's like note that down, right? So essentially, PFPs for Illuvium, for Illuvium Universe, socials, or anything, right? Lots of customizable options. And you have albums to collect all the Illuvitas. And then you also have leaderboards, pretty much. Leaderboards for the people with, I guess we should say, most rare collection, right? Alright, and that is pretty much summing up Illuvium Beyond. So it's like outside of the Illuvium universe, you profile pictures, and then there's like a lot of cool and silly stuff possible with that. And you can, like, it's a collectible game, right? You can just collect all the Illuvitas, and you can give them the rarest accessories, and then you're gonna rank super, super high on the leaderboard. There are different albums with different requirements of, you need, I don't know, this line of Illuvials, this expression, this background, all that kind of stuff. So there is a lot to like gamified elements of all of this collectible thing, and there's a lot to do. Like if you just say somebody just, yeah, it's very, very gamified. Let's just leave it at that, because I'm not super, super deep diving into anything else either. So that kind of covers what the Illuvium games at the moment are, especially on the gameplay related side. On the more economy related side, I think that's a deeper dive. If you guys want to know about that, let me know in the comments, and we can make another video about that. I hope this was a good beginner intro to just a lot of like keywords and what's going on, and hope you guys enjoyed the video. See you guys in the next one.